And Ashley, because you're in the 3-year plan. And
Yep.
Luke, how about you?
I'm not in biochem.
Okay, so you will eventually be in biochem, you guys. So it would be good to at least sit back and listen to others, because it is a course that's sometimes rather challenging. So on the Quizlet website, just go, you can go to create. And those of you that have used it can let me know, but oh, they want me to sign up. I'm not signed up yet, but I'm going to, just a second, I'm going to pause my share for a second while I put my information in. So you guys hang on, because you guys really don't need to know when I was born. So I'm just gonna make something up. Hold on, I'm just filling out my. Get signed up. Okay. So what I did was I signed up for Quizlet. I went to the free Get Started one, and it's real simple. So basically, you can put the subject, the chapter, the unit here. You can put a diagram in if you want, and then you can enter the term and the definition. So you can go back and forth. Has anybody else who use it, is this the standard way that you guys use it, or is there other tools on here that you have used? Anybody who's used Quizlet, have you used it?
Quizzes.
Go ahead. Caitlin, were you going to reply?
It's
That's
Katie.
the standard way I use it.
Okay. All right. So what I want to show you quickly is, can you see this Word document? Can you guys see Intro to Biochem on your screen? No? Okay, wait a minute.
I see Quizlet.
How about that?
I see it.
Okay, hold on, I got some chats here. Okay. Yes. All right. So the reason I'm bringing up biochem is tomorrow you guys are going to be in the lecture hall. You guys are doing a group study. So I just want to figure out where you're at as far as learning objectives. This is the document out of the syllabus, which is not moving for me right now. Which unit are you on right now for your exam for biochem? Do you guys have biochem
7.
notes or books with you right now?
Unit 7.
Unit 7. And so what's the title of that unit? Is it pH? Is it?
We talk about 3-dimensional shapes of molecules, and then we also talk about different molecule groups.
So are you talking about alcohols or ethers or proteins or?
Alcohols, ethers, thiols.
Okay, good. So that goes to the course competency then. So this is out of your syllabus. And it talks about summarize the structure, physical, and chemical properties of this. Alcohols, ethers, thiols, aldehydes, and ketones. Does that look familiar?
Yes.
Okay. So is there, I'm really sorry about these dark glasses. So is there a chapter in your book that deals specifically with this, or does this go across multiple chapters?
It's 3 chapters.
There's 3 chapters, okay. And then when she does lectures, in front of the lecture, does she put the learning objectives that you're talking about during that lecture up ahead of the lecture?
No.
No. So you don't specifically know then what learning objectives are going with what lecture. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that makes it a little more challenging. Does she tell you which chapter that the lecture is from?
Honestly, we don't really use our books much. This time though, she did give us a set of problems that I thought we would go over tomorrow, out of the book. So we have the 3 chapters and then questions from them.
Okay. So what I was trying to, so with the problems then, if you're talking about the structure, the physical and chemical properties of alcohols, ethers, thiols, aldehydes, and ketones, then if I'm trying to tie the learning objectives to like your lecture notes or your book, you say you don't really use the book, you have her lecture notes and then you have problems, right?
She just gave us problems for the first time.
And then you have a test on them right away.
We have a test on them on Friday.
Okay. And when did she give them to you?
Last Friday.
Oh,
And
okay. So you have a
we
week.
had a quiz we went through together in class yesterday, and that was a first time thing too. I'm
Okay.
not sure what we're doing Thursday.
Okay. So what I'm looking for here is learning objectives that talk about those problems. So are the problems then just structure, like bonds, or what are the problems?
I think she tried to stick with problems that would be like questions she would put on the test.
Okay. So can you give me an example of a problem? Is it more like chemical reactions or?
No, it's well, some of it is, I guess. Anyone else want to jump in?
Yeah, anybody can. And if you have a camera, or I don't know. What I'm trying to do again is like look at these learning objectives. So to me, if you guys are talking about alcohols, ethers, thiols, aldehydes, and ketones, you should be able to identify the characteristic, like what's the functional group of each of those, what makes them different and what makes them function as an alcohol, an ether, a thiol, an aldehyde, or a ketone. So on the Quizlet then, you might want to take alcohol and put it on the Quizlet and then enter not the definition, but maybe the structure, or if you want to enter a diagram up here. So I'm trying to help you with study aids without muddying up the waters more. So can you guys think of a way that you can use Quizlets with what you're going to study tomorrow, or maybe that's not going to be as helpful as we thought it was going to be?
I don't think Quizlet is a chemistry type of, because, okay, so like this first question is classify each alcohol as primary, secondary, or tertiary. So, we can write on our periodic table in extremely tiny writing because there's so much in this unit, what a primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohol is, and we have to learn how to apply that to what we're given. So I think it's mostly just practice with everybody.
Okay. All right. So then maybe the Quizlet is what is a primary alcohol, and then that's the definition, and then you practice classifying. So, okay. So that isn't going to work as well as I thought it was going to work.
I also think that maybe people are having a hard time because trying to pull all of the information out of the notes that she gives us, because I mean, not that there's a lot of fluff necessarily, but I think if she stacked all the pertinent information together and then gave the examples of, I don't know.
So, and who's talking right now? Is it Mariah? Hi, Esther, by the way.
It's Megan.
Oh, Megan. Okay. Yeah, so maybe if she, have you guys talked to her? And I know it's kind of late in the game, and I know you've been really in contact with her, but have you guys brought that up? Like, if you would stack it, it would make it easier for us? No, go ahead.
No, we haven't. I don't think anyone said anything to her. She has mentioned before that these aren't her slides and that she's going to have to redo them. So I
Okay.
think she's aware that there's definitely a
Disconnect.
mhm.
Okay. All right. So then if you look at these learning objectives right here, so what we just talked about was identify the characteristics of the functional group of alcohols, ethers, thiols. So that's kind of what you're doing. You're kind of identifying, if she gives you one, you're saying whether it's a primary, secondary, tertiary, etc. Correct?
Yeah.
Am I hearing that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So somebody else, if they give you, so have you talked about, like, if she says ethyl alcohol, can you guys give the structure of that from that name? Has she worked with you guys on that as part of a learning objective? Or the difference between isopropyl alcohol and ethyl alcohol, or difference between an alcohol and an ether? It's pretty quiet out there. Oh, let me see, there's a chat here, hold on. Yeah, see, and Luke just gave you guys one of the answers. So, okay, so that learning objective doesn't relate. Does she talk about the physical properties, like the difference between alcohols and ethers as far as physical properties like volatility, flammability, other things like that? No? So your quiz is mainly just,
She talks about melting and boiling points.
okay, all right. So that would be a physical property. I'm not really sure. You know, with the Quizlet, then you could have the functional group on one side and the physical properties on the other. That would work. And then does she have you doing reactions with that, or predicting reactions? No?
Just oxidation and reduction. I guess I'm the only one that takes chemistry.
You're the only one that takes biochem?
I guess so.
Okay, let me see who
Esther
else is
got
on
it. She's
here.
smiling.
Huh?
No, I take biochem, but I've been sick for like the last 2 weeks. So
And who is this?
I don't really know what's been going on. I mean, I know what I know from the notes.
Who is this?
Like, as far as class,
Okay, who just said that? I can't tell who said that. Mariah, was that you?
Mariah.
Okay, yeah, please say your name because I'm having a hard time keeping up here. Esther, I know, is in biochem. Katie, are you in biochem?
I was just joking because nobody else was talking.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm in biochem.
Okay. All right. So what about some of the rest of you? Do these learning objectives look familiar with what you're doing in class? Pretty quiet out there. Okay. So I think that
Some
this,
of this is Mariah. Some
Yeah.
of what she's talked about, yeah, I can see it on your screen. It's kind of hard for me to see it,
okay.
but
I can make it
it
larger.
looks familiar from the PowerPoints and everything.
Okay. So yeah, okay, so if an instructor starts the lecture or gives you a lab or gives you an assignment, and I've been guilty of this myself, I'm not as good at it as I should be, but don't be scared to say, here's the syllabus, what learning objectives, can you tell me what learning objectives are associated with this? Okay, because if you're not using your textbook a whole lot of times in the textbook, like for hematology and urinalysis, there's learning objectives right at the beginning of the textbook. If you're not using the textbook as much, you need a place to be able to get those learning objectives so you know what you're supposed to be learning. So for instance, in hematology in advanced heme, I have students do abnormal differentials. Well, a lot of times I'll have them come into lab and we'll just start on abnormal differentials. And I have to remember to say, this is what we're working on. We're working on the association between abnormal laboratory results, abnormal cell morphology, and patient disease states. So like leukemia or anemia or whatever. So we are connecting the dots as far as what we see on a slide, what we see as results off the analyzer, and what might be going on with the patient, because we need to know if what we're seeing makes sense with what's going on with the patient in order to give the doctor correct information. Okay, does that make sense? And I know it's scary to talk to instructors and you guys feel like you're doing a lot of work with some instructors, but don't be scared to say, you know, can you please show me? It would really help me if I had the learning objectives, you know, ahead of time. Or one thing that you can do that would really help us with this class is each day give us the learning objectives that we're going to be working on in either written form or up on the board. That would really help us out a lot. It's a common thing for a newer instructor to not be as clear, because in our heads we know what we're teaching. We're just like, here, learn this. But in your heads, you guys are still, this is all new. So you still need a way to connect the dots between what you're learning and what you're supposed to be learning. So you need a way to get it in your filing system. So, and if I ever do this in a classroom, please call me out on it. Please say, show me the learning objectives, show me what I'm supposed to be learning, and then go through the lecture. I mean, don't be scared to ask instructors for that, because that's part of our job. And sometimes, like I said, we've been in the field a long time. We know kind of the general plan because we developed it. So don't be scared to ask for those learning objectives. Then you can take those learning objectives and either go back. So these very specific learning objectives, if these are the ones for the unit, you can go back to your textbook and use that as an additional source of information. So what do I mean by that exactly? So you have your lecture notes, you have your homework, and if there's something that's not clear and you want to know about, I don't understand how you get the structure from the common name, you can go back to that part in your textbook and actually look that up and add more information to what you're getting in lecture. Okay, what are your thoughts on that, you guys? Does that make sense, or does it seem like it might work, might not work? You guys are all just tired because it's like almost Thanksgiving. Does it make sense at least how to use that even if you're not specifically looking at the book in the
Yeah.
classroom? Okay. Sometimes, and I know a lot of our students would rather be hands-on. Like I have students tell me all the time, tell me what I need to know, show me how to do it, and that's what I'm going to learn. But you might be surprised if you go back and just read things, even if you just read for 15 minutes at a time, there may be one sentence that kicks it into understanding for you. Like for instance, today I was teaching my students here in Richland Center QA lab math, and they were struggling with conversions between milligrams, grams, etc., micrograms. So by functions of 1,000, how do you convert back and forth? And again, this is one of those things, and I know Joan's talked to you about, I've done it for 30 years, I can do it in my head. So for me to kind of break it down into little tiny pieces and teach someone how to do it, it was really difficult. So don't be scared to ask us to re-clarify. Don't be scared to go look in the book. Maybe it's the book that actually kicks that into understanding. Because sometimes we have difficulty explaining stuff. None of us are perfect instructors, so for us to kind of get it back down to basics is sometimes hard, especially when it's stuff we've been working with for 30 years. Okay, so that being said, do you guys have an immunology test coming up, or did you?
We have a quiz next Wednesday, I think.
Okay, let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. A quiz next Wednesday. So can you guys see back to the Quizlet thing? Is that on your screen? This whole share thing is like goofing me up. Here we go, I'll get it. So back to the Quizlet thing. So immunology is a lot of, there's a lot of terms and verbiage that you're not used to. So doesn't almost every new chapter or unit have a set of terms that go with it?
The quiz is actually on the 11th, next Monday, sorry.
Okay, so this is where immunology might actually be a good application of Quizlet. The reason we push Quizlets a little bit, if there's vocabulary, and you'll see vocabulary and coagulation, that's gonna just throw you for a loop next year. But this is a good place to put that vocabulary so you can just take it with you and keep going and keep looking. Some people like to print them out because they actually like them in their hands. If you're a kinesthetic learner that you like to say it, hear it, read it, do it by hand, even just having that piece of paper in your hands with a Quizlet really helps. Plus you can pull it out while you're waiting in line. But for terms, this Quizlet stuff is going to be kind of invaluable to you, especially next year when you start in blood bank, urinalysis, hematology, coagulation. Those are 4 core classes, and they each have their own set of terms. So I would encourage you to take down this website and get used to kind of using it. The other thing about the Quizlets, when you eventually get through your courses, and yes, oh, I'm sorry, sidebar here, Luke actually made a really good point to me in a chat. All the acronyms, so like CBC, for example, all the tests, all the other acronyms like the accrediting agencies, all that kind of stuff, and the tests, the acronyms would be really good. You could put the acronym on there, the abbreviation, and then the word. So that would be in addition to terms. What I was gonna say though is when you have these Quizlets built, save them, because in a year and a half, when you have to study for your registry, now you have study guides. So if you need to brush up on acronyms or you need to brush up on terms, then you have them available. Okay. Let's see. Any other comments or questions about Quizlets or studying with Quizlets? Jenny, do you ever use Quizlet?
Yeah, I started using it actually this year.
And did you find it helpful?
Yeah, I found it helpful. I think actually Katie shared an immunology Quizlet that she made with me. I don't remember what chapters it was, but it kind of helped. And then I was like, hey, I should start using this. So
Right. So you get a benefit if you borrow, quote unquote, or share a Quizlet, but you get another benefit if you write a Quizlet, because now you're having to think about it and put it in addition to just using it to study. So thank you for your comments, Jenny. Let's see, that was kind of all I had on Quizlet. There was something else I was going to talk to you guys about. Totally blanked. Okay, so what else do you guys want to bring up? What, oh, I know what it was. What is your plan for tomorrow then? You got the whole lecture hall all morning for your study guide or your study sessions for biochem. So what is your plan?
Well, I thought we would go over chiral and achiral, and then each of the different groups, and then probably do the sample problems that she gave us that we have answers for in the back of the book, I think.
Okay. So just lots of practice. All right, that sounds good. Have you guys done this as a study session before for one of her tests or exams or quizzes?
I studied with Mackenzie and Esther before the last test, and they both got better grades on their test. They were
Okay.
pretty good. So, but
So
if anyone, we thought if anyone else wanted to join us.
I think that is really great that you're opening that up to everybody. That shows good, like when we talk about core abilities, working cooperatively, working professionally, you know, if you succeed as a group, you're stronger as an individual. So yeah, use the strength of the group and stay focused. And I hope that that works out for you. I hope y'all just kick butt on that test. I think that's a good goal. So I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that it works. It'll be interesting to see how, you know, it goes studying in that room. I think it's a nice quiet room for you guys. And it's a place where you're familiar. There's not a lot of distractions. So I think that would be really good. Again, if you guys aren't clear, you know, it doesn't hurt to send her an email today and say, you know, what are the learning objectives? What learning objectives are we covering? What else, you know, can we use for tools? Doesn't hurt to ask. So we would rather have you ask than struggle. Is there anything else that you guys would like to bring up? I want to thank you for getting your participation assignments done. I think Joan started putting some scores in immunology for this. So I hope this tutor sessions have been helpful. I want to go back and look. Stop. Just a second, I want to go back and look at our outline. Next week, our next two sessions on the 11th and the 18th are the I need help with sessions. So if there's anything specific that you want help with, if you can email me by Friday, like at noon, then I can bring you tips and suggestions. Otherwise, we'll kind of do a recap and see, you know, how this worked, what we talked about today. So think about what you need help with, whether it's time management, study planning, looking at learning objectives and the chapters in your book. Maybe if you want to have your immunology book, your lesson plan, and your syllabus ready next week, we can talk about some of that. I'll see if I can get information from Joan. So, any other questions for me or things that you need help with? No? Okay, well, guys, I'm going to let you go so I don't take any more of your time. Good luck studying tomorrow. I'll be interested to hear how biochem goes, and you guys have a great rest of the week. See you later.
You too. See ya.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.